Hey, everybody. Welcome to Habitat Now. I'm your host, Aaron Shea. It is truly an honor to have you join me today for a very exciting Habitat Zoom as we discuss something very interesting. And I have a co-host today, Corey Hampson. Say hello, Corey,
Hello.
who has joined me today for a Q&A of what's going on and what's happening next week, which is an incredible new transition as we focused on so many auctions in the past. We're able to dive into some more to bring the artwork to the people we know and love. So I'm going to go through a little housekeeping real quick before we get into it. We do these Zooms every Saturday, so make sure you tune in, tell your friends. It is a lot of fun to reach into people's lives and share what we know and love with each other. On display currently at the gallery is Zora Polova and Stefan Palla's double solo exhibitions. If you haven't seen it, stop by the gallery. The work is incredible, monumental pieces, and just absolutely breathtaking. This is something fun we have on the 18th of November. You got to bring your mask, and we're having a masquerade ball celebrating Susan Taylor Glasgow's exhibition titled Let's Fall in Love. She will be there. You're going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun to dress up and have a good time with each other at the gallery and experience the exhibition. So if you've never been to a masquerade event, this is it, because I rarely get to go unless I throw them. So come on and join me. The Glass Coast Weekend invitations are out to the artist, and people are already RSVPing for our event in February. If you haven't got on the list, contact me or contact Debbie at the gallery. We're putting together the fine details. We're working with Jane Buckman, who's helping us out down in Sarasota, Florida, putting the weekend together. Barbara Bash is involved. They're bringing college, they're bringing museum, the Imagine Museum. It's going to be another incredible event, and we're doing our second ever artist gala down there. So you should be part of that. I think it's Friday night. It's gonna be a lot of great time. NGG continues. We're going to be moving the next month's NGG out, so we have room for next week's auction. So pay attention to that if you like, and join me for that talk. And then the glass tour. We did a talk recently about the glass tour, and they already are in the planning stages of next year's tour, and it's very popular. We're getting RSVPs for people who want the information. So just send me an email and I'll pass you to Sue Ann Weiner or Ferd Hampson just to be on the list of what's going on. So
I think we're going to Prague next year. Is that correct?
I believe so, Prague and a couple other Europe, Italy and Venice.
Yep.
So it's going to be spectacular and an incredible experience. I'm going to try to get on that trip, but knowing how things go in my family, I'm not going, but someday. So as I mentioned earlier, before I started recording, the Marvin Lepofsky archive auction is now online. It's on our Masterwork site on habitat.com. You can go and register and check it all out and see the pieces online that are available for sale. There's about 30 Marvin Lepofskys from the estate, priced really, really well. So check it out. And then beyond that, make sure to check out next week's talk. Is we're going to have Jeanette giving us a talk about Marvin and his career and his legacy, which I'm going to be extremely interested in, so I can learn a lot about the artist and maybe acquire work too. So tune in for that. So Corey, I'm going to get into some pictures here of just work that we have in the gallery and other pieces that we've sold over time.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask you some questions like this Q&A format it's going to be part of, so you can talk about what your ideas are. Do you have one intro, or do you want me to just go right into it?
Yeah. So I'm for the past few years, we've noticed after COVID, I had to analyze our business model and where we're getting new clients. And it's really kind of interesting. Before it was Sofa, Sofa brought in a tremendous amount of new clients. We had to do a tremendous amount of sales, of course, because of the costs and the size of the booth. So those that had followed us to Sofa knew that, we took over 30 booths, and, if it's $70 per square foot, not including paint, not including lights, it was pretty costly. About 3,200 square feet altogether we would take. We do quite well. And somehow we were able to break even or a little bit more every single year after year. But more importantly, we got new clients. We got new people interested in glass, new people excited about the material. And, over the past few years after COVID, the art fair business, it's climbing its way out. And what's happening is that there was a tremendous bubble. There was a number of art fairs that were out there. And, some of them did okay, and some of them kind of struggled, but they used this art fair model. But without the European and without the the work from Asia coming in, they had a difficult time making the numbers that they needed. So a lot of them kind of disappeared, and SOFA was one of them. So unfortunately, that being gone, I said, "Wow, we get like 200-300 new clients. What is going on here?" And as I was looking down the list, I realized they were coming in through the auctions. And I said, "Oh my God, what are we doing? They're coming in through the auction. Who are these people?" There was one person that bought 3 Laurent Santianas from 3 separate auctions. I go, "Who is this person?" So I wanted to give them a call and find out where they came from. And they told me, "Yeah, we saw you at auction and we decided to bid on a piece." And I said, "Oh my gosh, now you have more than one piece. You're a collector. We have collectors." So we're increasing this number of collectors. So how else are we going to go out there? I said, "Well, if we're only doing 2 or 3 auctions a year, why don't we do more?" So Aaron and I sat down and we discussed it. We decided to go after a lot of the estates that are involved and that are selling the work, or artists that have a tremendous amount of work in their archival collection, which is a lot of our artists. They're sitting on a number of pieces in their studio that they've kept. They brought a piece back, or they kept a piece because they didn't want to let it go. Not because it was a dog, some of them, but maybe because it was something that they wanted to cherish and keep in their lives, that maybe represents a specific series or a particular part of time, or really an important piece that they made and they couldn't let it go. Well, now it's at a time, where they've been working for 30, 40, 50 years. And we said, "Hey, why can't we offer this online?" And so we're getting involved, heavily involved in the auction world, not just on the secondary market, but primarily on these estates. So it's helping the artist out, which is kind of like the goal of a gallery.
Let me interrupt you there because
Yeah.
you're covering some topics that I'm going to be asking
Okay,
questions
well,
about
we can
to
get
create the format for this. But it's great. I'm glad you got that off because that answers a lot of the stuff I didn't ask about. So first and foremost, what are your thoughts about the current auction market in general?
Okay, so it's all smoke and mirrors. I mean, no one's going to really tell you about it. It's all smoke and mirrors. So I mean, like the top of the top, Sotheby's, that sells work, Christie's, but really Sotheby's. They have these major auctions in London and New York, but really London's their big, where they're selling multi-million-dollar pieces. Some of them go for 5, 7, 8, 10. They look for like around $20 million, and that's not including the buyer's premium. And so according to a new Bank of America, they put out every year, they analyze the art world, and I can send it to any one of you. It's really I wish I had the link. I can send it to you right now. It kind of analyzes the auction market and tells you how well in 2022 and how well 2023, every fiscal year, how well the auction market does. And in 2020, this past year, it's broken records. I mean, it is absolutely crazy. And some of these artists, like George Condo, is commanding $15 to $20 million a piece when you could have bought one 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago for $375,000. And you've got artists, of course, like Banksy, who I follow. His smashing auction records. So if you look at the top of what's happening in the auction world, it's pretty crazy. If you look at glass and what's happening, it's pretty extraordinary as well. But we're looking at it from a really small time period. We're looking at it. The auction market for glass really started in the mid 90s. I mean, it's really 30 or so years old. That's it. Opposed to the auction world of Sotheby's has been around for decades. So it's kind of incredible. Oh, I love this piece, by the way. Seth Randall. I mean, Pate Ver. He was way ahead of his time. And I don't think there's anyone else that's been able to kind of go back and work in Pate Ver the way he did, but really kind of an incredible sculpture. That was at one time, Riley had a show at SOFA when SOFA opened up in Palm Beach. And this piece, as well as many others, were on display at the Riley Gallery. Sold out the whole booth before the opening. I said, "Oh my God, that's incredible." So this was one of the pieces on display. But so, back to the auction world, it's a fun thing to monitor and to watch and to see what's happening in terms of artist prices. Some of them go crazy. We watched Tudzinski and John Kuhn go absolutely nuts. We have some artists that were like, oh my God, why didn't we buy that piece? We should have bought that piece. Um, because I feel like, certain areas it's not exactly caught up or leveled or bottomed out in a way where there's going to be some type of bounce.
It takes an
So,
eye, right? It takes an eye to really appreciate what's out there.
but when to buy? It's like the stock
Mhm.
market. Like, you don't want to do it for investment purposes. And that's not why we're in this. If we were, we'd probably be selling something completely different. But the reality is we do it because we enjoy it. And sometimes you can get a really great deal. And so, if you monitor the auctions, which we do quite often, I have books of, auction results over the last 2 decades. It's crazy what we have in the gallery. But if you analyze it, you'll notice that some of the work that's selling does very, very well. Now, you had to show Lino right now. Now, Lino's work on the market is quite soft on the secondary market, unfortunately. But however, people are still acquiring work on the primary market, and it's kind of crazy, that I think this one sold for like 30,000 or something. And right now, if you wanted to buy a Hopi like this, you're looking at 64 to $70,000 out of the studio. So,
But then you have to be a certain kind of person that appreciates buying work at auction. It has a certain story with it. It's no longer directly from the studio, but there's a lot of people who only do that.
and that's so that there's another part of the, we're definitely cutting out a huge piece of the market. And those are the people that go in and enjoy a piece and look at it and have the ability to feel the texture and to understand it and not look at an image and acquire something.
Mhm.
There's other people, there's clients of ours that have been working for years that we've never met. So you've been 20 years, you've been buying things from me every single auction, or every few auctions, and I've never met you. I've never seen you. I don't know anything about your kids. I know nothing. A lot of the other collectors I've traveled with, I've seen the world with, I know about their kids. I know about their lives. Oh, this was this sold to the Flint Institute of Arts. This is Fennec, and it's a fox.
So next question for you, Corey. What are the
Or
advantages
Toro.
of signing up on the Habitat's Masterworks site versus signing up elsewhere like Live Auctioneers or
Okay,
Invaluable?
so it's a very good question. What's the difference?
Mhm.
A live auctioneers, everyone kind of knows and feels and understands. However, live auctioneers charges more money. So we've kind of eliminated that you could save money. The only difference is the functionality is just as good, but the only big difference is we're able to save money having our own Masterworks auction site. So you're not paying as large of a buyer's premium. So you're watching it in real time. You can bid on it in real time, just like live auctioneers. However, you're doing it through Habitat and you're not doing it through Invaluable or live auctioneers. Look at this Vladimir Klumpar. This is 4.5 feet wide. I think it weighs close to 350 pounds. This was a monster, and it's made with that uranium glass. You can see the Vaseline color coming through. And
So basically what Corey is saying with the auction houses is they stack. So if someone has an auction house, and you may know this already, and you go to a different auction house that's not the auction house offering the auction, they stack a fee on top. And we're avoiding that extra fee by creating the Masterworks site to offer the minimum fee structure.
which Aaron, I think, was absolutely brilliant, I gotta say.
So we go from 29% all the way down to 20% if you pay by a check with our system. That's a big savings, right?
Yeah.
And so the live auctioneer system doesn't allow that. You're going right through their system. We have to use their payment systems, and so the 29% is what it is, and you pay by credit card, and third parties make money. So that's what the big incentive is. Corey, why are Zooms important before the auction in this process?
Okay, so Aaron's been doing the Zooms. We have over 174 Zooms that Aaron has done since COVID. Can you believe that? I mean, more Zooms than any other institution, any other gallery, any other artist involved in the material. I mean, we have so much information. It's wild. It's all available. It's all free. It's on YouTube. And somehow we'll be able to figure out how to use that material in the future. But right now, it's like, I can't believe it. It's incredible. But what it is, it's an education. It's an understanding into these artists' lives. It's knowing what you're going to acquire, who you're acquiring it from, and what, I mean, I didn't know, but walking into Yamano's house the other day, I mean, he lives in Japan. I didn't fly to Japan. I watched Aaron's Zoom, and I was in it. I was in his house. I could almost, smell it was fall. I could smell the leaves. I mean, it was like I was there with him in the studio. I love the course, visit him one day in person, but this gives you a great opportunity to just be there and understand who these artists are. Kate Vogel and John Littleton, who are they? North Carolina spruce pine? Like, what is spruce pine? You could walk into their lives and understand why and what influences them. Is it their environment? Is it something that they've carried on, since childhood? Like what exactly do they get this information from?
So tying into that with the Zooms before the auction, we give a glimpse into what you're going to be bidding on, an opportunity to ask questions, to speak directly with whoever's running the particular Zoom that day, whether it be the artist, an assistant, or manager, or whomever, that allows that glimpse into the work right before, getting people excited and getting us excited about the auction upcoming. Anything to add, Corey?
You're not just buying a piece, you're buying an understanding of this experience. It's an experiential situation. That's the idea, is you're submerged into this idea, understanding, why Chihuly create these C forms, and why is it a C form and not a Persian? And what's the difference between a Persian and a C form? And why was this patent lip wrap created? And when did you start nestling pieces inside each other? What is the purpose? What is the meaning? This is a macchia. What does macchia mean? Spotted, spotted in Italian. Why was it called macchia? Well, he created the uglies. His mother called them the uglies. He decided to add as much color as he could by adding them and almost stabbing his work, creating these spots, these ugly spots. He took it and he said, "Mom, what do you think?" His mom said, "God, it's ugly." He goes, "I will call these the uglies." Well, that doesn't exactly sell work. So eventually it became spotted, and spotted in Italian is of course the macchia. And
So
of course,
we kind of covered the auction process a bit at the beginning dialogues. I can probably skip this question, but the relationship that Habatat has with a lot of the artists, and the trust and the familiarity allow us to reach into their archives. So you'll expect to see more upcoming, and stay tuned for what comes next. Corey, we talked briefly about clients who have a home full of glass and they want to acquire some things, but they may not have the room for it. And you and I talked about acquiring work as a group for possible donation.
yeah,
Be a possibility.
so that's another possibility, and we're shifting the direction a little bit. But these, how do these artists become like well known? How do they become famous? How do they become international? And part of it is feeling, clients will go to a museum and understand the validity, or understand the legitimacy, and understand that the purpose. Like this Tutsinski must be important. This process, fillet de verre, I've never heard of it. Well, I was at Fort Wayne Museum the other day and I saw this Tutsinski and it was spectacular. And now I'm going to start looking at who Tutsinski is. And eventually I might get one on my own.
Mhm.
So the idea is it's important, again, it's probably the most important thing that my father has worked on over the years, and that I've continued to work on, and Aaron's continued to work on, is this collaboration with museums. Now, some museums, what if you want to buy a piece and you want to buy it, but you want to donate it, but you don't have the space, and that happens quite often. Like I'll be honest with you, it happens all the time. Yeah, I'd love to buy this Horizon Lubinsky. Let's go back to that piece. I'd love to buy this beautiful Horizon Lubinsky, but I don't have a 6-foot wall that can fit on. I don't have one. And you know what? I don't want to pay the $100,000 it costs for this Lubinsky. Well, we've worked with groups of collectors that come together as a group and donate that piece. Now, there is some tax benefits to that, and I know that if you're all art collectors, you're familiar with that. And if not, you can give me a call personally. I'll tell you exactly what the benefits are. You can get together and then donate that piece to a museum. It's very, and a lot of curators are very interested in that. A lot of museum directors are very interested in that, because they, then get your name on the piece, which is great. And your family's family, like your life, like your legacy is right there in that museum for good. And if you write the right contract, they'll be able to pull it out, I don't know, once a year at a specific point in time, or whatever the contract is developed, whatever it is, you will have that piece in the museum. And so I think it's kind of cool. And so we put a piece in the Victoria Albert Museum a number of years ago. It was a Klaus Moyer. They contacted us. They said, we need a Klaus Moyer. We don't have the budget. So Aaron sent out a newsletter, and a couple collectors got together and acquired the piece and donated to the V&A. And if anytime you go downstairs and see their glass collection in London, you'll see the Klaus Moyer, and then you'll have all the names attached to it. You know, so it's just an interesting way of acquiring work that I don't know that a lot of collectors are privy to.
And we can also help with locations. We're trying to figure out a couple right now. And we always have the wonderful Charles Shepard here willing to have a dialogue with you about works that need a home as he's building and creating more and more glass for people to see.
And the Fort Wayne collection is spectacular, by the way. And it's there to stay. And it's glass, you know, it's glass. So you know, it's like it's a must see.
It is a must see. Next question. So we're talking about secondary market work, and in this particular question, would this process work for individuals who are looking to sell their collections with us?
I mean, that's what we've been doing. So that's what we've been doing since 1994 when we had the first auction. And believe me, I worked it. I wish we had that picture of me holding the piece up.
I do not
I was like,
have that picture.
I don't know how old I was. I was holding the piece up
Like
as
12.
officially bar mitzvah. It was like, I was so nervous. The beads on my, you know, the sweat was pouring down. I was bright red. I was holding the piece. My hands were shaking. And I remember that. But Ben Heineman was in there. There was a number of collectors out, you know, bidding on pieces back then. It was kind of new to them. So they didn't know exactly what to do. Here's a paddle. What's a paddle? I don't know. And so we kind of, you know, helped them through that. But we were going through a learning process at that same time. And slowly it's evolved where we can do it completely online now. And one of our auctions, it was funny, about 5 or 6 years ago, I can't remember exactly when. Aaron and I were laughing because we looked at the auction and the entire auction sold online. I mean, it was an open floor, people were bidding, but the whole thing sold online. And we're like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? We should have not even had the auction. We could have just did it from our home. I could have just wore pajamas and had my coffee. I had no idea that I had to get dressed up. Anyhow.
That's true.
Another beautiful piece that's going to be showing up.
So I'll kick back a little bit, talking about next week's talk. We're going to be having Lepofsky's manager, Janet, who's on this call. And thank you for being here, Janet, who will have a dialogue and talk about Marvin Lepofsky's. But you can sign up for the auction now. For those who missed it at the beginning of the Zoom, the auction is on our website, and I'll show you where it's at in a second here. Actually, let me do it real quick and just show you. Why don't I just show you, right?
While Aaron's showing you, let me just give you just very brief, because I know we're going to get into it next week, but Lepofsky is responsible. He is like the guy, like you says, the legend on there, glass legend. That's exactly what he is. You know, he really brought glass, you know, to the university setting, one of the first artists to ever do so. He did it in California. And, you know, he did this incredible, and he would fly all over the world. He was like the Johnny Appleseed of glass. He would visit different studios from all over the world and collaborate with them on making his work and also helping them make theirs. It was really kind of an amazing thing, but we'll get into it next week. And I hope you show up and learn a little bit about Marvin, because he's such a significant name and such a significant person for his attributes and what he's accomplished, and also what he's done for the art world, his documentation and everything. So really worth seeing.
So on our website, very easy, habatat.com, is a button here on the very top. It's always there. It says view auctions. Once you click it, which I'll do, it'll take you right to the auction site, and voila, on top is the auction. You can click almost anywhere and it will take you to the auction site, and you can register right here or view the lots, do both, and see all the pieces on display. So it went up yesterday, a little tweaking to do, but I wanted to give you an idea. And registering is easy. You click to register or log in. You probably have an account from the previous time. If not, register. And once you're registered, you're approved and you're able to place bids. So let me kick back into the PowerPoint so we can continue on. So I wanted to show a couple pieces that are in the upcoming auction, more elaborate on Marvin Lepofsky, but I did include these three that I showed you while Corey was talking. And while he's talking,
really good use of color, by the way.
Right, great use of talking. So tell me about, Corey, the how many pieces think are going to be in the stock? About 50 pieces, right? And
yeah, there's almost 30 Lepofskys and then 20 other pieces. And why do we put the other pieces in the auction? Well, we do it mainly for traction. You know, we have some interesting things in the vault. We have some interesting pieces that are coming from estates, different collections. Beautiful David Ricci right there. There's a similar one at the Detroit Institute of Arts. Of course, you'll never see it out So upset
Right.
with them. One day, maybe, perhaps one day. Look at Africano again, one of my favorite pieces in the gallery. Of course, I'm a huge fan. And of course, Bertil Valin, he's known for sand casting. Look at that red house. By the way, if you ever go to Denmark, you'll see a lot of these red homes, throughout Denmark and Sweden, like barns in the middle of nowhere. And when you're driving Costa Boda, it takes about 2 hours. And you're literally driving to the middle of nowhere, but you'll see these red barns. So you can see this artist was definitely influenced by his surroundings.
How about this
This is
piece,
an
Corey?
important piece. So here, this is, okay, this is, I asked Aaron to put this in the slideshow if we can. This was a piece that was created for not Lee Krasner, but his Jackson Pollock's girlfriend. Help me out here, Aaron.
Oh man, I wish I remembered. I'll look it up. Keep
come
talking.
Come on.
I can find it out.
Okay, Jackson Pollock's girlfriend. It was done by Dale Chihuly. Dale was so influenced by Jackson Pollock. He had this really nice relationship with his girlfriend. Girlfriend was in the movie with Ed Harris. If you remember.
Ruth Klingman.
Thank me, Ruth Klingman.
Klingman.
Thank you. That's right, Ruth. And she's a beautiful woman, by the way. And she was, she had a Jackson Pollock in her bedroom. And the Lee Krasner Foundation decided that it's not real. But that's a whole other story. Read about that. It's kind of interesting. And I think there was some, obviously something going on there. But so this piece was actually given to the collection. It was damaged and then repaired by Chihuly Studios. And in 96 or 97, I don't know, you could probably find it online. It was acquired by Uncle Ben Heineman, who was a huge supporter of the gallery. And literally every piece that he had acquired, he consulted for, whether it be from a different gallery, should I get this? What do you think about this? What do you think? It really helped my father on a high pedestal. And anyway, any event, he asked my father to be involved with the donation of the collection to the Corning Museum. And my father said no. He had such a good relationship that he did not want to get involved in the political struggle that would take place. So he backed out of that idea that he would be there. But what makes it such a significant piece is the fact that that it was from one of our first auctions. So one of our first auctions, and it was acquired and then donated to the Corning Museum with a number of his other pieces. A beautiful book called the Tudzinski on the cover.
Heineman collection.
Heineman collection. Yes, the Heineman collection that you can acquire on Amazon.com. No, or but yeah, so I think that's a really significant piece to show that that there are some really significant work that you can get through auction.
Right.
Thank you, Kate, who worked with Dale Chihuly, a number of pieces from 75 and 76, said, great piece. So, I mean, that just tells you that it's a great piece alone.
That's great. Well, I think that wraps up.
Wait, I got some questions on my own.
Sure.
You're going to ask me questions. I want to ask you some questions. Okay?
Well, let me get this going real quick. We're also taking on consignment. So if you have anything in your home, or always contact us anytime. I thought this guy in the beard kind of looked like me, so I put him up there by Oben Bright. I thought that was much better of a picture than of me alone. So perfect time this time. So let me close out this and stop sharing. And yeah, feel free, Corey.
Okay, so here are my questions. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you buy your top hats? First question. You gotta answer really quickly. You can't laugh. You just have to.
The internet. And this one was a gift from my parents. Thanks for asking.
That's good. Okay, I got them. Okay. If you could take any artwork home in the gallery, what would it be?
Oh, for me?
Yeah, for you.
Right now, there's a Peter Bremer's piece that's a beautiful circular oval piece that's in the gallery right now. Come and see it. It is a stunner. I have the perfect place for it, which is right on my bed. I'll just leave it there because it is beautiful.
Well, I don't know where Sarah's gonna go, but you'll see.
She can say, I'll move out.
Hey, I got a question about that. Is he on the call?
Oh, Peter, I don't think so. No.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. So you don't have to buy it just yet. What's the most interesting commission that you were involved in?
Well, I guess the most interesting commission was probably a very long commission. It was the longest commission I ever did was for an Emily Brock for a client who lived in New York, and it took her about 3 years to do it. And it came out stunning. It was an office scene, very particulars, the client was very particular how where things would be and had tons of books, and it was a lot of fun to do. And having it come to fruition was very exciting, and it's still one of my favorite pieces.
Other than glass, what do you collect?
Well, if you know me at all, I collect pinball machines. I have a total of 6 of them that I really enjoy, and I'm on my way to my 7th. For those of you who don't know, the Labyrinth machine is coming out. It's a big part of our childhood. I'm still trying to convince my wife to let me acquire that one. So if you ever want to play a game, come on by.
That's what that was the next question was, what does your wife feel about? No, I what is the first glass piece you ever acquired?
It was a Michael Barron's piece. It was gray with pink, and it was not translucent. And I fell in love with it, and we showed it in Chicago, and we showed the International back in 2012 or 11. And I really couldn't. It sat around for a long time, probably to like maybe 2013 or 14. And finally, I was like, Michael, I love this piece. Can I buy it? I know you need some money in Chicago for your woman to go shopping. And that turned out to be the perfect execution. I have the piece today.
I like that story. Okay. Oh, this is a holiday question. What, who makes the best glass pumpkin or would make the best glass pumpkin?
That is a great question. I do not know the answer. There's so many talented people who dabble in pumpkins during the holiday season. I would probably go to the Glass Academy here in Dearborn and just look around for a color and a tone that calls out to me. And then I suspect after the holidays, you throw them out because you have to buy another one next year because there's so many of them. You don't quite know where I saw them at the at-home store too, across the street. So there's quite the variety out there.
Okay. Almost the last question. We're getting very close.
Sure.
We're getting very close. Who should we watch as a gallery of an up and coming artist working with the material today?
That's a great question. There's so many talented artists out there, and I love seeing certain ones just pop up. Like we saw Anthony Atta show up at a museum recently. I sent you a picture of last night, Corey, who was part of NGG in the very first year. There's people like Kim Thomas and people like Jeffrey Boughton who are really pushing the medium into context for people to not only relate to them as beautiful, but also powerful in their own reasons. So I really push and promote people from the future generation of artists that are making now before they get the momentum, because I think there's so many who are starting to become leaders for the next generation who have followed those before. So those are just a few names of the many. I would say definitely pay attention to the Not Grandma's Glass exhibition, which is focused on artwork that's not in Grandma's art collection yet, even though some of them are, because they have such a passion and they've caught my eye. And next year's NGG, we have about 8 artists invited already, and then 4 winners continue on. So definitely take a look. Austin Stern is someone that Charles Shepard also added to the list.
Austin Stern. Okay, here's a quiz. You ready?
Yeah.
In glass blowing, you're gonna hate me for this one. What is a runner?
What is a runner?
You could just guess. You could just guess. Don't Google it. Don't Googling.
Oh, I'm just thinking it's someone that takes the glass to the kneeler.
Okay, no.
Oh,
but I like that. That was a good effort. That was better than what I had.
What is the answer?
Don't Google it.
Okay.
A grozer or a nibbler?
Oh, I think a nibbler is someone who adds a piece to the glass, like grows and gets the glass and brings it over. Is that right?
No.
No. There's also a nibbler in the Labyrinth movie. Go ahead.
Okay, wait. Last question. Don't Google. I know your fingers. Let me see your hands.
Alexa.
Where would you find the word didymium?
Didymium?
No, didymium. 2 M's.
I have no idea.
Oh, you got to guess. It's a guessing game.
It would be the very bottom of the oven over time when it's been off for at least 30 years and all that glass is stuck to the bottom of the oven and it's so hard to get out that you have to throw the whole oven away. That is didym-dum-dum.
This is why you're a great art dealer right now. I mean, you're 0 for 3, but let me tell you, so a glass runner, I had no idea. We're like the experts of glass. We should know this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
A glass runner is somebody that works on, that breaks the glass from the score line. So when you're heating glass and you got to score the area, like Lena would score the area, he would take the back of his jacks and he would hit it and the piece would come off. He is the runner. I didn't know that. Second one,
Most close.
so no.
Yeah. He probably catches it after doing it, takes it to the dealer. Come on.
Okay, all right, that's pretty good. Pretty good. The grozer and the nibbler, those are glass pliers.
Mm,
Kind of cool names, right? The nibbler.
yep.
Yeah. Anyhow, I didn't get any of these right either, so don't.
Yeah, I feel bad.
And didymium are the glasses that people wear because
Oh, that's
the
so
UV glasses they don't want
protective.
on their eyeballs.
Uh-huh.
So
Well,
yeah,
now
0 for 3. I got 0 for 3. We're supposed to be the glass experts here. What do we know?
I can't wait till next week and I ask my questions. I appreciate
ABL,
it.
always be learning. That's what Habitat does. I don't know. So the last question is, because it's Halloween, what are you gonna be?
Oh, well, I can't spoil it for you because we go to the same Halloween party, but I don't compete anymore. So my son and I are Ninja Turtles, and my daughter is an angel. And so we will be phoning it in and going to Halloween for my mother's party tomorrow. How about yourself, buddy?
Well, I can't tell you because it's $100 prize, obviously. So I'm going to be a Ninja Turtle, and my
Nice.
kid's going to be an angel.
All right, perfect. Well,
That's
thank you.
it for me.
Well, thank you everybody for joining me today. Please check out the auction. And if you have any questions, let us know anytime. And again, next week, we'll be talking to the representative of Marvin Lepofsky's estate, Jeanette. So she will be giving a talk and introducing herself, and we'll learn more about the auction and the work. Then I'm excited. We'll look forward to it, and have a great weekend, everybody, and have a great Halloween. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.